All right, the test will be tomorrow. Where will you report tomorrow, Raylan, instead of here? You'll go to the Commons, and go ahead and go straight to the Commons. You can study for a little while together, and then I'll tell you to disperse. You'll go to the table facing forward. You'll silence your cell phones, and then we'll start from the time the first test goes out till the last test gets in. You're quiet. When you turn your test, in this case a quiz, in, then you're going to come back to the classroom and sit quietly till the remainder of the class get there, then we'll go from there. Now, there will be 30 answers on this test. They're all worth 2 points apiece. This quiz will be worth 60 points, okay? And that's, no, actually they're worth 3 apiece. It's worth 90, okay? It's worth 90. So make sure you understand that. You can get partial credit if you have maybe something not spelled correctly. I expect that anything on the ID sheet be spelled correctly. That would be names, okay? Because if you go to graduation and we spell your name wrong on your diploma, I guarantee you your parents will call and raise canes, which they should because they don't want your name spelled wrong on a document. So make sure if it's a name that's on the ID sheet that is spelled correctly. If it's not, we will count points off. So you may get a -1 or a -2 because you spelled it wrong and you had the right name and it's worth 3. Okay? So, you're part of this. So, Bakari, you're the first one here. So, here's how we do this. And we try to kind of go in order of your notes to make it easier for you. Okay? So, Bakari, here's the first question on the test tomorrow. Who is the first person to anticipate Great Britain's problems in maintaining the American colonies?
Oh, is that,
You remember writing it in there? Well, good. Did you highlight it so it'd be easy to find? Count Verzane, but you need to spell it correctly as it is on the ID sheet. Okay? So who is the first person to anticipate Great Britain's problems and maintain the American colonies? Count Verzane. Okay? Mr. Bauer, are you next? Okay? Give me one of the 4 major problems Great Britain was forced to deal with in governing their vast empire across the world.
They had a weakness of British leaders.
Very good. Give me another one, Dash.
Big debts, lots of debts. Instead of new taxes.
The need for new taxes. Okay, there you go. Elizabeth?
Possessions they earned from the French Indian War.
That's right. Specifically, the 2 we talked, Florida and Canada. That's the exact right answer. Possessions that they received as a result of the French Indian War, Canada and Florida. Ms. Martinez, what's the last one? What?
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, I'm sorry. Ms. Rodriguez, what's the last one?
The lands between the Mississippi River and the Appalachian Mountains.
Okay, what would we call that? You would put problems in the western lands. Okay, you'll need to know all 4 of those. Okay? Okay, all 4 of those. Make sure you have those correct. Okay. Austin. Concerning the western lands, give me one reason for Pontiac's conspiracy.
so he was leading the Ottawa Indians?
I don't care about that. Concerning the western lands, give one reason for Pontiac's
The
conspiracy.
British treated them very poorly
In matters of,
trade and...
there you go. The British treated them unfairly in matters of trade. There's one. Carter, give me another one. In other words, what I'm asking is why were the Ottawa Indians upset that led to the conspiracy? One was because they traded unfairly with them. Who would be they? Now I want to make a point here. If he puts they, is he going to get points for it? No, because I don't know who they is. You have to take this test with the idea that I do not know one thing about this. That if Mr. Sanford read it, it would mean that he would understand it because he's not a history major. So who's they? Okay. Oh, no, you said they traded,
British.
there you go. Make sure you, because you might see on a test when you get points up and say, who is they? And then a minus so many, okay? Carter, sorry to interrupt you, go ahead. Next one.
They they were worried that they would destroy sacred hunting, and
Who's they?
British.
They were
worried that the Ottawa Indians were worried that the British would destroy sacred hunting grounds.
What type of British? I wouldn't even say British, I would say colonial farmers would do what?
Would destroy sacred grounds as well as burial grounds.
Okay, by moving west, okay? They were concerned that American colonial farmers would ruin their sacred burial grounds and hunting grounds by moving west. Okay? Jade, how about the last one?
The British didn't give the Indians any ammunition,
For their,
rifles,
why?
because they were worried that they would counter them.
Very good. So this is an AP course, you gotta be detailed. You can't just put, they were upset that the British wouldn't give them ammunition for their rifles. Why? Because they're afraid they would turn them on, right? Okay, you'll need to know one of those. We covered three, but you'll need to know one. Okay? Dominic, give me one reason why King George III was considered an ineffective leader of Great Britain.
You just didn't care. You want popularity.
He was more interested in popularity than doing what was best for the country. That'll work, okay? Myra, give me another one.
He was ineffective and stubborn.
He was ineffective, very good, dear, and he was stubborn. So how many did she actually give you?
Oh, that wasn't one.
It was two. That was very good. Yeah, you doubled up. You might be the MVP of the day today. You're doubled up. Ray Lynn, what's another reason why he was considered an ineffective leader? He would be a leader, so he would go into the category of any of them. Okay, so remember we said a weakness of British leaders, we told them why they were weak, which would include him, so go ahead, give me another. Okay, we kind of already covered that, you know what I mean, that he was more interested in what was popular for him than for them. What about what you're trying to do? You're trying to learn someday. What about his education? Well, he didn't have none, but he was poorly educated. He didn't receive a formal education. Okay? Julie, is there another one? Wasn't very good at solving. We're talking about leaders in Great Britain in general. He being one of those, right? He was ineffective, he was stubborn, he was more interested in his popularity than what was the best for Great Britain. Wasn't very well educated, didn't have a quality education. And he didn't have the ability to solve problems either in the colonies or in Great Britain in general, right? You need two of those reasons why King George was an ineffective leader, out of all those I gave you. Kendrick, who did Great Britain name as Prime Minister in 1763 that took measures to put the country on solid financial foundation?
Grenville.
Okay, George Grenville. Now listen, you only have to have the last name of these people unless there's two people with the same last name, then you'd have to put the first name.
King
So,
George.
well, or like if there was John Smith and Jimmy Smith that we talked about in class, you'd have to make difference between them. But there's only one Grenville, so all you have to do is put Grenville, okay? Perfect.
Can you use notes on this?
Absolutely not. That's why we're having this review here. If we don't have a review, chances are you can use your notes. So if I say there's a test tomorrow and there's no review, it's a pretty good hint that we're having a no open note test, okay? All right. Pudge, give me one thing the Proclamation of 1763 stated in the Western lands. And that law was passed. Give me one of the two things it stated.
Made all the colonial settlers move back east side of the Appalachian Mountains.
Okay, now this is, I want to make a point. He's not totally wrong, but again, this is an AP class. From where?
From the west side.
There you go. It made all the colonial settlers that had moved west of the Appalachian Mountains back east of the Appalachian Mountains. Otherwise, they could have moved from California. You see what I'm saying? So make sure you're detailed there. So one thing it did is it forced all of the colonial settlers who moved west of the Appalachian Mountains to move back east of the Appalachian Mountains. Okay, now Sydney, I'm going to be impressed with you here because you only had a couple days in here. What's the other thing it did?
The law reserves certain lands to Indians, thus granting back their original hunting grounds.
Okay, it allowed for certain lands to be given back to the Ottawa Indians to protect their sacred hunting grounds and burial grounds. So gave them an area of land, okay? Not like a reservation where they, had to go. It was a place that was gonna be theirs, and it protected their hunting grounds and also protected their spiritual grounds. Okay, Cody, give me one group of colonists that were resentful toward the proclamation of 1763.
The Sons of Liberty.
Oh, no, oh, no. They weren't even in the picture yet.
Farmers.
Farmers, okay? Give me another one, Cody.
The traders.
Fur traders, they were upset. Brianne? Somebody lost money because the farmers and fur traders were upset. They were upset. Merchants. Okay, was there another one, Kinley? Is there another group upset besides farmers, fur traders? Think of realtors.
Land speculation.
Land speculators, very good. You need to know all four of those, all four groups of colonists that were resentful towards the proclamation of 1763. Okay, Brianne, give me one of the two goals that Parliament hoped to accomplish when they passed the Sugar Act of 1764. One of the two goals that Parliament hoped to accomplish.
Raise money for all the projects that they run.
Not exactly. Not exactly. That was the overall thing. There was two specific things they were going to raise money for by passing the Sugar Act of 1764. This is not an easy question. I didn't know how well you'd pick this up.
Like the, what they were gonna tax?
No, by passing the Sugar Act of 1764, they hope to accomplish two goals. Obviously, the overall goal we've talked about forever is to reduce hoarding. Kimmy,
Reduce taxes.
for
Uh,
people back in.
Great Britain.
Very good. One of the things that was used to do was to reduce taxes for citizens back to Great Britain. Now, Brianna, can you find the other one in your notes there?
Have raised money for the colonies.
That's exactly right, yeah. Raise money to help pay the expenses of protecting the American colonies against attack from British enemies. Those were the two goals that Parliament hoped to accomplish by passing the Sugar Act of 1764. One, to raise money to help pay expenses of protecting the American colonies against attack from British enemies, and the other one is they were going to reduce taxes for citizens back in Great Britain. That was one that upset them the most, because they're paying taxes so they could reduce taxes back in England. They didn't like that. And they were being taxed without representation. I didn't like that either. Okay, Tala, my dear, it's your turn. Tell me what a direct tax is.
Proceeds from that tax go directly to the shipyard.
That's exactly right. The proceeds of a direct tax, the funds go back directly to the person that initiated or passed the tax. Okay? Okay.
Can I write just like, the tax goes back to the taxer?
If you want, like 2 out of 3 points. You could write nothing if you wanted to. This would cost you. Maria, my dear, since I messed up and feel really badly about doing that. As a result of their concern about smuggling, list the 4 steps in order that the British government took to keep smuggling under control. I'm going to ask you for the first one. So as a result of their concerns about smuggling, list the 4 steps in order that the British government took to keep smuggling under control. What's the first step they took, my dear? They put British naval patrols at shipports, at harbors. Very good. Cody, what'd they do next if they didn't catch it there?
Search all the warehouses.
They would search warehouses. That's exactly right. Why, if they got through the harbors and got through the warehouses, where would they be searching next?
Private homes.
Private homes. That's exactly right. And the 4th step, Austin's going to tell us, is they even went to the extent of...
Using spies to find out where the smugglers were.
Okay, let's not use, it's not bad, using American colonists as spies. Otherwise, it could be somebody from Great Britain. So they were using American colonists as spies to rat out people that had smuggled goods for what did they get in return?
Money.
A reward. It might not always be money, but a reward, okay? The reward could be a favor, could be money, could be anything. So everybody got those? I want them in order. So for 17, you do what Maria said. For 18, you do what Cody said. For 19, you do what Wyatt said. And for 20, you do what Austin said. They got to be in order, okay? Obviously, if you screw one of those up, it screws the whole thing up, okay? So let's not do that. All right. Carter, what was the name of the law passed by Parliament that forbid the use of paper money to pay taxes levied by the British Parliament? What's the name of that act?
This Stamp Act. No.
We currently talked about this, did we not?
I'm trying to find that.
What was the name of the law passed by Parliament that forbid the use of paper money to pay taxes levied by the British government? Let's get current here a little bit, shall we? Let's get current on our notes. Can you see it?
I'm looking for it.
Let's get a little current on our notes. Try to see it. Well, why don't you help him out, Alex? Yeah.
It's called the Currency Act.
Oh, yeah, the Currency Act of what?
1764.
Yeah, make sure you have the date, because it's on the ID shirt. Currency
Oh,
Act
okay.
of 1764, okay? All right, Pudge, what was the name of the law passed by Parliament that required the colonists to provide barracks and supplies for British troops that were stationed in America?
Quartering Act of 1765.
Very good, the Quartering Act of 1765. Make sure you put the date there, because it's part of the ID, okay? How you doing back there, Jade? Good. Here you go, girl.
Do you know my name's Jade or Jada?
Well, well, you got to straighten me out here. Let's see what I got. Jada. Is it Jade for short? I assume not. Okay. All right, dear. Jada, I feel so bad I messed that up. My eyes aren't good. I got 60-year-old eyes. It does say Jada right here, though. Okay. Jada, my dear. Where am I at? All right, give me one example of licenses that were taxed as a result of the Stamp Act of 1765.
Marriage license?
Marriage licenses, very good. Kendrick, give me another one.
Land
Deeds.
deeds.
Land deeds. Okay, Brianne, give me another one. Well, I know, but that's what I'm asking for an example of that. A diploma, college diploma, very good. What about, we said deeds on, what'd you say, land? Deeds on
Closets of
newspapers?
newspapers.
Deeds on homes, property, mortgages,
Playing cards.
playing cards, okay? You're gonna need to know 2 examples of licenses that were taxed as a result of the Stamp Act. Elizabeth, I want you to tell me in your best detail why Prime Minister George Grenville was surprised when the colonists reacted angrily towards the Stamp Act of 1765. Why was he surprised they were mad, Elizabeth?
Because he gave the colonists a year on how to figure out how they wanted to be taxed.
That's exactly right. He gave them a year to figure out their own way to be taxed. And they didn't do anything about it. So make sure you add that. So, because you gotta, again, you gotta do this as if someone that didn't know would know. So he was surprised because he gave them a year to find an alternative or another way to be taxed, and they never came up with it.
Who's they?
Who's they? Good. Who is they?
I don't know.
Who is they?
That's why I asked.
What did you say, Elizabeth? What did you say, Elizabeth? American colonists. Very good. Kendrick, nice pickup there. Who is they? I do it even once in a while. All right. Bakari, you've been kind of on fire. I'm going to go to Dash Lloyd, the main man here.
Oh boy.
As a result of the Stamp Act Congress in October of 1765, what was the most important action the delegates took during their meeting in New York City?
So was it where they stated that the merchants would sign a non-importation agreement?
Yes, that is it. The most important action was talking the colonial merchants into signing those non-importation agreements. Not acts, agreements. An act is a law. Okay, very good though. Kendrick, give me one example of actions the Sons of Liberty took to protest the Stamp Act.
Tar and feather.
Who? Who is they?
They tar and feathered the citizens who were with Great Britain.
That's right. That'll work. Or sympathetic to, or loyal to. Okay. Talon, give me another thing they did.
They rioted in large towns.
They rioted in large towns. Raylan?
They took the stamps from stamp collectors and burned them in the
Yeah, and before they did that, Julie, what did they do? Before they took the stamps? They had to do this before they could take the stamps.
Destroy the offices of the stamp tax.
Very good, they destroyed the offices of stamp tax collectors. And Jada, what was the last one?
They destroyed homes of royal officials.
They destroyed homes of royal officials. Very good. You will need to know 3 of those. And the last question, here it is. I'm going to give it to Sydney because this is what I think she actually, I think you were here for this. Yes, you were. What was the main reason that Parliament decided to repeal the Stamp Act? What was the main reason they did it? The main reason why Congress decided, or excuse me, Parliament decided to repeal the Stamp Act. What was the main reason they did that? Kind of surprised that they would eat crow. What was the main reason they decided to eat crow?
To stop non-importation.
To stop the non-importation agreements. And Carter, just for the fun of it, what law did the British pass soon afterwards to let the colonists know that they were the boss? That'd be about the last thing he wrote down. Declaratory.
Act of 1766.
Very good. Okay. Any questions on that? If I didn't ask it, you won't be responsible for it on the test. You have what I'm going to ask you. To be quite frank with you, I just read you the test. Okay? Now, I'm going to put 5 extra questions on there that I did not mention today for a point extra credit apiece. Okay? Now, I want to talk a little philosophy here before we stop. What time is this period in? I still cannot do 42. We got some time you can even study. All right. So why in the world